Hello, ladies, Emmys, and gents. This young lad called Milo, a trans lad as I understand it, has apparently offended a lot of people on the internet by saying that all people are racist and all people are sexist, all people are homophobic, transphobic, etc., etc., etc. Yes, and this has offended a lot of people. A lot of people have taken offence to this. They feel like they're being accused of something very, very awful. Being accusation is being levelled at them. It's very offensive to them. And the thing is, it's all very well being offended by something. You can say you find an accusation offensive, but that doesn't really speak to whether or not it's true or not. Do you know what I mean? If someone, I've never met anyone who isn't offended by being called a racist. Whether they are or are not racist. If you see what I mean, you can call someone a racist, and they will be offended. If they're not a racist, they'll be offended if they are a racist. It tends to be how these things go, because it's kind of an offensive thing to call someone. But it doesn't make it untrue. This is the thing. No, I think, for me, I wasn't offended by this accusation because I understand what it means. It's a bit like if you step away from social issues for a bit and talk about other things. Like if someone said, everyone's a bit lazy, or everyone's a bit impatient, or everyone's a bit disorganised, whatever else, anything, or everyone's a bit rude. Now, I think most people would know what that meant. Because even the most, hard-working people are probably guilty of being a bit lazy from time to time. Even the most patient people occasionally are probably guilty of losing their patience. Even the most organised people are guilty of occasionally not organising themselves properly. I think most of us get what that means. We're basically saying nobody's perfect. We're basically saying we all have flaws. And the reason we would point this out is because we don't want people to rest on their laurels. We want people to say, look, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should just stop putting effort in to be self-improving. If just because you're quite organised, don't just think that you don't need to keep continuing to put effort in, because when you start resting on your laurels, that's when you slip back, you backslide into the pit of not being organised. And I think with social issues, when you look then back at social issues, you can start to understand kind of what people like Milo mean. Just let's say, you support women's right to abortion, or you support the right of, people regardless of whatever their race to use whatever drinking fountain, or you support the right of transgender people to use the bathroom, toilet, I'm not American, that they need to use, then, that's a good start, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have more subtle kind of nuanced prejudices ingrained into you, because we all have that. We all have preconceptions about things like race, for example. We may not know it, they're maybe very deeply ingrained into us. What we do. Most of these people I've seen making this argument as well have said, they've actually stressed, just because we think everyone's a bit racist or a bit homophobic, a bit transphobic, whatever, it doesn't mean we think you're bad people. That's what they've all stressed that, but that just seems to get completely ignored. The only problem I really had, to be honest, with Milo's video was he sang the praises of this guy, what's his name, Ghazi, is it? I don't like him. I find it odd that Milo shouted him out because he is actually kind of transphobic. He has said something, he's basically played a Depression Olympics with racism and transphobia, and implied that racism is the more important issue. So he doesn't seem to be an intersectionalist. He also seems kind of anti-Semitic, and he obviously does hate white people as well. So that was probably the only real issue I just felt. I was like, I really don't like like that guy. But generally I thought there was an interesting point being made there. It's just a shame that just because it offends certain people, usually like conservative people, that we have to sort of focus on being offended by this accusation that we're all a bit racist, or all a bit transphobic, or all a bit homophobic, or whatever else, instead of actually asking ourselves, are we? Trying to sort of take a step back from that and being a bit more objective and looking at that. So being offended is fine. It's something I think people should say if they are, but at the same time, let's try and go beyond that and sort of talk about why we're offended by it and ask, is our offence, but blinding us to actually, looking at the facts? It's just some food for thought there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Goodbye.